More illegal workers arrested in the city by immigration authorities. A couple arrested in China for working as spies for Britain's MI6. And Mexico is set to have its first woman president. Hello and welcome to TVB News. 4 mainland men were arrested by the Immigration Department for providing cleaning services in the city. The 4 are illegal workers. Mimo Singai reports.
The arrested 4 are mainland men aged between 19 and 30. One is the owner of a mainland cleaning company, while the other 3 are employees. They entered Hong Kong as visitors. The Immigration Department said they discovered the company used Xiaohongshu, a popular mainland social media platform, to promote their cleaning services. In the promotion material, the company said they charge 3 to 5 RMB per square foot, and customers must pay in cash. Speaking to the press today, the Immigration Department said the company would send illegal workers to Hong Kong whenever they received an order. The department's Lok Po Yi said some officers disguised as customers contacted the company about the service. They then arrested the illegal workers once they arrived in Hong Kong. However, it is not known as to how many residents have already employed the company for cleaning services. This is not the first time that illegal workers were arrested by immigration officers. A similar incident happened in May. Lawmaker Lam Chung Sing said the case could be the tip of the iceberg.
Apart from this case, we worry that there are so many illegal groups to do such operations. We hope that the Immigration Department can cooperate with the relevant department of the mainland government because for some of the illegal groups, their responsible person may be in the mainland, and to see whether the mainland government can regulate those illegal groups.
News 9, TVB News.
A man who was found unconscious on Sunday at the entrance of an industrial building in To Kwa Wan was declared dead after being sent to hospital. Police arrested 3 men on suspicion of unlawful disposal of a body, adding that the deceased previously consumed alcohol in the building. Authorities are still investigating whether the man was an illegal worker. Timothy Lee reports.
Police have cordoned off the building where the deceased was suspected to have lost consciousness before he was carried downstairs. The incident happened at around 3:30 p.m. on Sunday when authorities received reports of a man in his 40s lying unconscious near the parking lot entrance of Merit Industrial Center in To Kwa Wan. The man did not carry any identification documents and smelled of alcohol. Officers did not find any noticeable injuries on him. He was sent to Queen Elizabeth Hospital where he was later pronounced dead. Police investigations revealed the man, a 2-way permit holder, arrived in the city from the mainland and that he had spent time with 3 individuals from his home province of Fujian in the industrial building prior to his death. The man lost consciousness after he felt unwell from drinking alcohol. His 3 acquaintances then moved his body to the exterior of the building before fleeing the scene.
3名男子於是用手推車。
The police said the 3 men of Fujian origin placed the unconscious man on a trolley and placed a blanket over him. Officers successfully found the 3 men near the building and arrested them on suspicion of unlawful disposal of a body. One of them was found to be an overstayer. Sources said the unit where the incidents happened is suspected to have offered living quarters for illegal workers. Some local tenants noted the suspected unit is a subdivided flat. This, as Kowloon City District Councillor Lee Chiu-yu stressed the problem of industrial building units being used as subdivided flats is not a major one. He added while it is concerning for such areas to be used as living quarters for illegal workers, such instances are rare in the area. Lee also urged immigration authorities to step up patrols in the city's industrial buildings. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
The police's National Security Department has arrested another man in connection with activist Chow Hang-tung, who was earlier arrested on suspicion of posting seditious content online. Sources said the man is Chow's uncle. The police arrested the 62-year-old man in Sha Tin this morning. Reports said he was suspected of distributing information for Chow, who is the vice chairman of the Hong Kong Alliance in support of patriotic democratic movements of China. Police invoked the Safeguarding National Security Ordinance for the first time last week when arresting 7 individuals, including Chow, who were suspected of posting seditious content on the internet. One of the arrested was suspected of having financially assisted fugitive Nathan Law. The Water Supplies Department is reviewing plans to increase the city's water charges, but stressed there won't be major changes to the existing fee structure. Water bills in Hong Kong have not experienced any changes for 29 years. This, as Director of Water Supplies, Roger Wong, said the recovery rate of water services operating accounts was at a historic low of 79%. He also noted water bills only make up 0.1 to 0.2% of the city's household expenditure, which is only 1/10 of that of other advanced cities. Meanwhile, some lawmakers believe the government should provide ample time for discussions of proposed fee adjustments. Chinese national security authorities have recently uncovered a major espionage case in which 2 Chinese government workers were caught spying for the British Secret Intelligence Service, MI6. Danny Zhou has more details.
In a statement posted on social media on Monday, the Chinese State Security Ministry alleged that the British Secret Intelligence Service, MI6, had instigated a man surnamed Wang, who worked in a core and confidential role in the central state apparatus, to defect along with his wife. The statement said Wang studied in the UK in 2015 under an exchange program and had been invited to dinners and tours arranged by the MI6. Wang was said to have a strong desire for money and was offered a part-time consulting opportunity with high remuneration. The consulting service gradually involved information about the inner workings of Chinese state agencies. Though Wang had some misgivings and was hesitant at first, MI6 finally lured him into serving the British government with the promise of high remuneration and security guarantees. After completing espionage training, Wang returned to China to collect intelligence. He was later pressured by the MI6 to persuade his wife, surnamed Zhou, who worked in the core government unit, to do the same to double the money. The couple are being detained and interrogated by Chinese authorities. Since early this year, there have been a number of alleged espionage cases involving China and the West. In January, Chinese state security authorities uncovered espionage activities in China by some foreigners with British Secret Service intelligence involvement. In April and May, British authorities charged 5 men with passing sensitive information to Beijing. Danny Zhou, TVB News.
In Mexico, climate scientist and former Mexico City Mayor Claudia Sheinbaum is set to become the first woman president in the country's 200-year history. The National Electoral Institute says, according to a statistical sample, Sheinbaum is leading with 59% of the vote, way ahead of her rivals. The election has deeply divided the country as Mexico chooses between continuity and change. Tracy Furness reports.
Mexican presidential frontrunner Claudia Sheinbaum cast her vote on Sunday amid a sea of media and applauding supporters. This historic election is expected to see the country's first female president. And Sheinbaum has maintained a double-digit lead in opinion polls against her nearest rival, Xochitl Gálvez, for months. Gálvez, here posing for a photo with supporters, is an opposition senator and tech entrepreneur. She pledged to step up the fight against deadly drug cartels. After casting her vote, Gálvez spoke on the cornerstone issue of her campaign, the violence which has engulfed the country. Yes, this has been the most violent election in the history of our country, but there is also a huge opportunity to keep democracy alive, and I think that the turnout will be high, Gálvez said. But it wasn't enough, as Sunday's preliminary vote count put Sheinbaum in the lead. This voter in Mexico City liked that 2 women were battling it out for the top job, as Mexico has long been marked for its macho culture. I love the idea that they are given an opportunity to women because they have always given these elected executive positions to men. Outgoing Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador congratulated projected presidential winner Sheinbaum. This is the largest election in the country's history, with more than 170,000 voting stations across the country. In addition to voting in a president, Mexicans have voted to elect 128 senators and 500 deputies of the country's bicameral Congress, as well as 9 governors in cities including Mexico City, Yucatan and Chiapas. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has called on his country's political parties to overcome their differences and find common ground to form the first national coalition government. South Africa's ruling African National Congress, or ANC, secured 159 out of 400 seats in last week's election, the Independent Electoral Commission announced Sunday evening. The main opposition party, the Democratic Alliance, or DA, came second with 87 seats, followed by the MK Party with 58 seats and the Economic Freedom Fighters, or EFF, with 39 seats. More than 27 million South Africans voted in the national and provincial elections on May 29th to elect a new National Assembly and provincial legislatures. No party won an outright majority in the National Assembly. The ANC got less than the 200 seats it needed to maintain its 30-year unchallenged dominance in the lower house of Parliament.
Our people have spoken. Whether we like it or not, they have spoken. As the leaders of political parties, as all those who occupy positions of responsibility in society, we have heard the voices of our people, and we must respect their choices and their wishes.
Still ahead, Israel keeps up its military action in Gaza. Rupert Murdoch ties the knot for the 5th time. And in China, a daring act over the Yellow River. Welcome back. An aide to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Israel has accepted a framework deal that may lead to the end of its nearly 8-month-long war in Gaza. However, Ofer Falk said much work still needs to be done, with Israel refusing to back down from its stance that Palestinian group Hamas must be destroyed. More than 36,000 people have been killed in Gaza since Hamas and other groups attacked Israel on October 7th. Nazvi Karim with more.
The aftermath of an Israeli airstrike in central Gaza, in which at least 5 people died, including children. This, as the latest ceasefire proposal raises hopes like never before, with both Hamas and Israel showing positive signs. At the same time, the situation is fragile, with neither side willing to totally shift from their demands. US President Joe Biden on Friday outlined details of a 3-phase plan that would release all hostages held by Hamas and eventually result in a permanent ceasefire. An aide to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Ofer Falk, told Britain's Sunday Times that though Israel has agreed to the proposal, it's not a good deal and there are a lot of details to be worked out. As Israelis continue to hold protests demanding the return of hostages held by Hamas in Gaza, White House National Security Council spokesman John Kirby said in an interview that this could be the deal to make that happen.
What you get is the start of phase 1. So you get some hostages coming out, initial hostages, you get some calm, you get some more humanitarian assistance, maybe up to 600 trucks, and then the two sides can start talking about phase 2. So Prime Minister Netanyahu's team, in fact, his foreign minister, again, just said that they welcome this, this announcement by the president and that they did, in fact, agree that this was their proposal.
He also said if Hamas accepts the deal, the U.S. expects Israel to do the same. However, while it is billed as an Israeli proposal, it is causing tensions inside Netanyahu's government. Hardliners such as Itamar Ben-Gvir and Bezalel Smotrich have threatened to quit Netanyahu's coalition government if the deal goes through, while Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said any agreement that allows Hamas to continue to exist as a ruling entity will never be acceptable. He said Israel is already making plans for governing alternatives in Gaza after the war. A Hamas official also said the group is too big to be sidelined by Netanyahu or Biden. Meanwhile, Hollywood actor Michael Douglas visited the kibbutz Be'eri in Israel, where around 100 people were killed during October 7th raid by Hamas and other Palestinian groups. He met families of some of the hostages and spoke with Israeli President Isaac Herzog, who gave him an IDF dog tag as a gift. Nazvi Karim, TVB News.
Media mogul Rupert Murdoch has tied the knot for the 5th time in a ceremony at his California vineyard. Murdoch's new wife, Elena Zhukova, is a 67-year-old Russian-born retired molecular biologist. She is the ex-wife of Alexander Zhukov, a billionaire energy investor and Russian politician. Their daughter Dasha was previously married to Russian billionaire Roman Abramovich, who used to own Premier League football club Chelsea. Murdoch and Zhukova wed Saturday in a ceremony at his vineyard in Bel Air, California. The couple announced their engagement in March. Murdoch stepped down as leader of both Fox News' parent company and his News Corp Media Holdings late last year. He was most recently married to model and actor Jerry Hall. The government today launched a hospitality campaign to increase the service quality in the city. Mimo Singhai reports.
In the video, the actor said such service attitude is not good enough these days. The sentence is a classic quote which was first used in a government advertisement more than 20 years ago to remind customer service employees to serve with manners.
做多一步，好客之道.
Today, a hospitality campaign was launched by the Secretary for Culture, Sports and Tourism, Kevin Yearn.
亦都要弘揚熱情好客嘅。
In addition to developing tourism resources, we need to promote our hospitality and enhance our service quality so that our brand of a prime destination will shine even more.
The hospitality campaign will also expand to schools. For instance, schools will select students to be polite ambassadors. The government will also provide the tourism board with training videos on how to receive tourists. Yearn said the government will not set a key performance indicator to measure how polite an employee is. Meanwhile, in a joint press conference hosted by lawmaker Eunice Yong and several industry representatives, the speakers hope the government can provide more information to tourists for planning their activities when they visit the city.
We need a data AI ambassador. I would say that is travel ambassador to promote. And how are we going to give a good or accurate routine or the travel itinerary for the tourists?
The speakers also hope the government can increase publicity efforts to attract visitors from domestic and overseas markets. News 9, TVB News.
Nongping 360, the cable car system connecting Tengcheng and Nongping on Lantau Island, recorded a notable rise in visitor numbers in the first 4 months of the year. Our Jackie Lin spoke with the company's newly minted managing director about his take on the changes in travel patterns of tourists and locals.
With the comeback of tourists post-pandemic sees a bounce back in visitor numbers to major tourist attractions. Nongping 360 said its visitor numbers returned to 95% of the levels in 2018 over the first 4.5 months of the year, or rose 40% year-on-year. In the first 4 months, the per capita spending buoyed by cable car businesses also surged 27% year-on-year, or a 32% hike compared with pre-pandemic levels. A rise in spending recorded at Nongping Market too. The bulk of tourists hailed from the mainland, Macau and other Asian markets. Notably, Filipino visitor numbers jumped 106% compared with the pre-pandemic era. But tourists from Europe or the US recorded a dip.
We've been working very closely with travel trade partners in the Philippines. And of course, we continue to leverage on the different IPs, the activations that we have, like the one upcoming with Doraemon on Nongping Village.
Nongping 360's managing director James Tong said they include Doraemon-themed cable cars and sculptured exhibits of the robotic cat. A new permanent history-themed exhibition will open to the public in the second half of the year.
We've seen the post-COVID travel behavior has changed. People are looking for more in-depth experiences. They are actually looking to go out to the outdoors, to experience the different sides of Hong Kong.
James Tong added the expanded individual visit scheme that includes 8 more mainland cities is set to help boost their visitor numbers. In face of the recent string of adverse weather conditions, James admits such weather could affect Ngongping 360's operations, and they will continue stepping up maintenance work and safety precautions to ensure the quality of service provided. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
A Chinese slackliner on Sunday successfully crossed a gorge on a thin piece of tightrope nearly 200 meters above the Yellow River in Shaanxi province. The dramatic scenes unfolded above the river in Hejin City, holding the Guinness World Record for the fastest 100-meter slackline walk. Shi Heilin set off from one side of the Shaanxi Gorge at 11 a.m. Without relying on any external help, she had to walk 569 meters between the gorge at an altitude of 186 meters above the Longmen section of the Yellow River. After 31 tense minutes on the slackline, she successfully crossed over the Yellow River. A delighted Shi said he wants to share his joy with the Chinese people. That's the news. Thanks for watching. Pearl Magazine is up shortly. Bye for now.